In 2008, two brothers hit the road to search for their father, fight demons,
Fighting a couple of angels, too.
and eventually save the world.
A bunch of times. Over 15 years, this series has built one of the most dedicated fan bases in all of entertainment, and that fan base is near and dear to our hearts.
That's right. I'm Rob Benedict. I played Chuck Shirley, a.k.a. God, on the series.
And you do a darn good job, too, buddy.
Aw, thanks.
Well, I'm Richard Spade Jr. I played Loki, the Trickster, and Gabriel, and I directed a bunch of episodes.
Well, is that it?
Well, I directed you. I don't know. What do you think?
Though we worked on the show for years, we never sat down and watched the entire series.
But that was then, and this is now.
That's right. We are watching each episode and inviting the actors, the writers, producers, and crew to join us in digging into the story, the characters, and the mythology.
These guests share some fantastic behind-the-scenes stories with us. You're going to love those, and you're going to get our honest opinion about each and every episode. That's right. Those guests share some fantastic behind-the-scenes stories with us, and each episode gets a full, honest, and unfettered review from Rob and Rich. And you get to learn a little bit about how TV is made. Lord knows we have.
And warning, there are spoilers. And don't get frustrated that we haven't caught details for multiple viewings or that we know what happens 3 seasons from now. This is the first time we're watching these episodes. And you're there for the ride as we watch with our virgin eyes.
Oh, that's creepy. Thanks for joining us on our journey as we deepen our understanding about why you love this series so much.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate Jr.
And welcome to Season 5, Episode 1, Sympathy for the Devil.
Robbie, please allow me to introduce myself. I am a man of wealth.
And taste?
Yeah, I can say that.
All right.
As I segue into that, it seemed appropriate.
Yeah, maybe we'll get into that in Fun Facts, where the title of this episode comes from.
Oh, I don't know where it comes from. I was just talking freely.
Oh, you're just telling you're introducing yourself to me?
Yeah.
Hey, before we get into it, I just wanted to say thank you to all our listeners who've stayed with us from the bottom of my heart. It's been an
so unlike you to thank
the
listeners. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's been an incredible journey so far. Also, I got a special note for everybody from our producer, Steve.
Steve Hine?
Yeah, Steve Hine, our producer. Steve says, thank you to everyone that came out to meet him at the podcast meetup in Burbank way back in March, although...
It feels like just yesterday.
It was actually yesterday. He wants to tell you that he thoroughly enjoyed speaking with each and every one of you.
And he's hoping you will vote for him this November.
Remember Steve when you hit the ballot box.
Believe in Steve. That's his slogan. Steve had it there. It was a meetup, and Steve met up with a lot of the followers of this podcast, and that's awesome. They all got to go out and be social and meet Steve and razz him and give him a hard time.
Razz him and dazz him. So thank you, and super excited. Now we're getting into Season 5, Episode 1. Should we go for it?
Let's dive in. Robert, summarize.
Lucifer's Cage, also the name of my alt-rock group.
I was going to say your death metal band.
Yeah. Lucifer's cage has been opened and the blinding light has brought Sam and Dean to their knees. The brothers suddenly find themselves on a commercial airline flight. Confused, they head to the prophet Chuck's house for answers and to find Castiel.
Let me ask you this. Are they surprised because they usually fly private?
Yes, that's what they're so confused about.
Is that what threw them off?
What is
Who are all these people on our private plane?
Is this the coach they talk of? They go to Chuck's house to find answers and to find Castiel. However, Chuck informs them that Castiel has been smote by an archangel.
Oh my gosh, he'd been smitten?
Yeah, he's been just downright smitten. Zachariah arrives and pressures Dean to do his duty in battling Lucifer.
You said duty.
Haha. Dean sends him away with an Enochian blood symbol. Meanwhile, in Delaware, a man named Nick is having strange visions, including a blood-covered woman who tells him he has been chosen.
I'll tell you what, I would love to be chosen, but I would love for the messenger to be, and I'm fine with the messenger being a woman.
Yeah.
But it's the blood-covered that sort of taints the whole experience.
Yeah, I think that's the disturbing part. Yeah. I'm going to go say Delaware. That's where...
Yeah. You had me until Delaware. Robbie is not a Delaware guy. Never has been.
Meanwhile, speaking of me, Chuck has a vision and solicits the help of one of his fans, Becky, to get a message to Sam and Dean. The Michael's sword is on Earth. The angels lost it in a castle on a hill made of 42 dogs. That's the message. The boys bring Bobby into the mix to help interpret the message. They realize Michael's sword must be in John Winchester's old storage unit. Suddenly, it is revealed that Bobby is possessed by a demon. He attacks Dean. Meg arrives, back from hell in a new body. She tells Demon Bobby to kill Dean. However, Bobby is able to regain control of himself and stabs himself with the demon-killing knife. Meg smokes out and escapes.
Has a quick bong hit and then takes off.
Exactly.
Nice.
Sam and Dean leave Bobby in a hospital and head to Buffalo, New York to search John's storage unit.
You know why they go there?
Why?
It's birthplace of the Buffalo Wing.
Oh.
A lot of people think it's the Anchor Bar. Other people think it's a bar called Duff's. I personally have been to the Anchor Bar. The wings were great. And if that is the birthplace of the Buffalo Wing, well, then I've been there. But if it's Duff's, I haven't been there. Okay. Anyway, the point being, we got to go to Buffalo, New York, and go to both Duff's and the Anchor Bar, Robbie. We got to do that.
Mm-hmm. By the way,
just like Sam and Dean.
This is the monologue he goes into anytime you mention Buffalo, New York.
Well, Buffalo Wings, man. Anchor Bar. Come on, Duff's.
Sure.
Who's with me?
Let's do it. I'm eager to see John's storage unit.
Boy,
I thought you're going to go off on John's storage unit.
When you say it, it sounds dirty. I just want to say, when you say John's storage unit, it definitely sounds like you want to see John's storage unit. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
in air quotes.
I knew you'd go there. There are dead demon meat suits in the storage unit. Zachariah is there. He tells
That's
the boys,
another good band name.
Which
dead demon meat suits.
Demon meat suits. Yeah, punk band from the 80s. Zachariah is there. He tells the boys that Dean is Michael's sword, the Archangel's chosen vessel. Dean refuses. Life is an angel condom? That's real fun. I think I'll pass.
Do that again as Dean, please.
Life is an angel condom? That's real fun. I think I'll pass.
And
Better?
scene. Pretty good.
Zachariah starts to torture the boys. Castiel arrives! Exclamation point. Back from the dead! Exclamation point. He kills the other angels, but a confused Zachariah escapes. Castiel carves Enochian sigils into Sam and Dean's ribs to hide them from the angels going forward. Lucifer appears to Nick in a dream in the form of Nick's dead wife. Lucifer manipulates Nick into offering his body to Lucifer to be his vessel. Nick's wife and child were brutally murdered by an intruder. Lucifer says God allowed this to happen. Sam and Dean visit Bobby in the hospital and hear that the doctors have told Bobby he may never walk again. Dean gives a stirring speech about taking everyone on, angels and demons. Later, Dean admits to Sam that he's not sure if he can trust Sam.
I'm not sure you can trust Sam. I mean,
and we're off. We're off to the races.
We are off to the races. All right, well.
Season 5.
Let's talk about it. Let's do, well, I guess officially we should say what we're doing. We're doing R,
Okay. So I remember watching this episode when it came out because I was in it. So it was one of the ones I actually watched. And I remember being really blown away by the Lucifer storyline. I just thought that the Nick storyline and Pellegrino's, the way Pellegrino plays it, it was haunting. It was really well done. I really felt like it wasn't like anything else we're seeing on TV at this time. You know, it's very Exorcist in a way. To me, that's what makes this episode is that Lucifer story plot line. I really dug that.
I will say that it's great having Mark Pellegrino on the show at this point. He's so good. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
A couple of things that surprised me. Mm-hmm. I didn't know you were in this episode. And you're great. I love the whole bit about the tooth and the hair. That was all awesome. Mm-hmm. I had no idea you were showing up, so that was cool. Secondly, did you understand why they ended up on the commercial plane?
No, I don't think we know that yet.
I'm like, what did I miss that I don't understand why
I still don't know that, but I'm assuming we're going to find out. It's very lost.
Okay, so I didn't miss something there.
I don't think so, unless I missed it too, but I don't think so.
I loved the Pellegrino stuff, the Lucifer stuff, the origin story of that was really gruesome and cool and dark and well executed. The actress who played the wife who came back to him to, convince him to become Lucifer or to invite Lucifer into his vessel she was really great. And that whole scene was really
it's his wife, his dead wife,
really cool.
Yeah, his dead wife.
Say it again.
It's his dead wife.
Yeah. Dead wife was great. Actress was great. And I mean, the continuing of the angel thing, I always love Kurt Fuller, and obviously Misha's great, and the boys are great. And Rachel, great to see her.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it all.
How many people are in it? I feel like you're getting to a big butt.
No, I guess my butt is, I was just south of loving it. I loved your part. I loved Mark's part. I loved the individual components, but it felt very much like a continued story versus an episode. I felt like I was writing part of an episode.
My excuse for it would be that it's episode 1 and it's just setting us up for what's going to lay out this season. I just think it's one of those. A lot of times, you'll watch. Someone will tell you to watch White Lotus or something, and you see the first episode, and you're like, I don't see what all the fuss is about, but you just need to keep watching.
Yeah.
I think we'll probably find out what the plane's about. I really don't know what the plane's about, but hopefully we'll find that out. And
what if we never do?
Then screw this episode.
We're going to go back and amend our review.
No, I think Zachariah is great. I really like that scene. I remember doing that scene. That was when I actually accidentally really hit Jared with that plunger.
Man, don't you wish you could go back and do that about 8 more times? Pow, pow, pow.
It was a soft plunger too, so it wouldn't really hurt anybody. And then I apologized to him, and he looked at me like, "What do you mean?"
The soft plungers are a good name for a band.
I always loved the soft. Their older stuff was better.
when they were a little harder.
Before they got
firmer plungers.
Before they got experimental. I liked it.
Well, you're not exactly bubbling over either, my friend.
I liked it a lot. I'd forgotten about the part where Bobby's possessed. That's really freaky because, you never see Bobby go bad.
Jimmy the Bee Beaver being that guy, you know what I mean?
And also, I don't know what happens. How is he ever going to walk again? I don't know what's going to happen here.
Well, that's a lot. You know exactly what's going to happen. But I mean, theoretically, yeah.
Well, I know he does walk again, but how? How do we get from he doesn't walk to he walks?
I'm just wondering if Jim's eyes will ever go back to normal.
His eyes got weird?
Yeah, they turned black. They were demons.
Right, but I think the demon's gone now.
Okay.
I think I could safely say his eyes are back, but how is he going to learn to walk again? That's what I want to know.
I don't know.
And just the release of Lucifer, I just think, to me, that's the headline.
Right, that is the headline. Don't bury it.
Lucifer finds a vessel.
Lucifer finds a vessel.
Yeah.
Man finds tooth and hair.
Do we find anything else out about who killed Nick's wife and child? Because I remember.
I don't know. I directed an episode about that same storyline, season 12 or something like. So it was an ongoing thing for a long time.
Because I always thought when first time I saw this episode that he might have done it. Like maybe Nick's an evil dude.
We might find out. I don't know. I just genuinely don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, here's a question. Whose tooth was in your hair?
Misha, Castiel's.
Oh, it was Castiel's from Castiel blown up?
Yeah.
Angel had, I guess it would be Jimmy's teeth. Well, then.
He exploded everywhere, all over everything.
Okay, maybe I'm going down a rabbit hole or pulling a thread on a sweater, but when Meg falls off the roof and goes kersplat, the demon has to take over a new meat suit because the meat suit's ruined. How come the Jimmy Novak meat suit isn't ruined when Misha explodes?
That might be a question for a higher up, higher than God. I don't know.
Somebody, it smells like somebody was on contract to me. Oh, I got to bring Misha back.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like based on the story and the way the show has worked previously, if the meat suit goes kablooey, you would need to come up with a new meat suit.
Yeah.
Which same thing that they did with Alistair.
Yeah, you'd think. Maybe they cast another actor that looks a lot like Misha Collins. And
maybe that's Al-Cal.
Change his name to Misha Collins. Yeah, it could be Al-Cal.
Probably Alice Calvert, even though he would have been 14 at the time.
Yeah, I was going to say he would have been 12. Anyway, well, let's hear it. Let's hear the beard.
Well, it's not getting a Stapleton, I'll tell you that right now.
Wow, okay.
Anybody out there hoping for a Stapleton could be sorely disappointed because ain't no Stapleton coming for this bad boy. I'm going Mick Jagger with a beard in 1979.
Jesus, what? I didn't even know that was
Mick Jagger in 79. He had a beard for a moment.
Looks like
and
Jim
your reaction
Morrison.
is exactly right. It's a big, full beard for people who look it up. But the problem is, something about it just ain't right. Something about it just ain't right. Mick Jagger with a beard, it just...
What?
It's a healthy beard. There's a lot of hair. But it just, somehow, it's just not...
Well, all
snapping together, right? But
that's
in honor
crazy.
of Sympathy for the Devil being the title, it seems appropriate to go with Mick Jagger, 1979 beard. Again, big full beard, a lot of hair, man can grow a beard, but there's something about it just kind of feels, I don't know.
Wow. Okay.
Because I like parts of the episode. I love each individual part of the episode, but as a cohesive episode, I didn't love it.
All right, I'm going to go then just following British stars.
British beard stars.
Beard rock stars. George Harrison
Okay.
1971, George Harrison, where the cover of All Things Must Pass, where he kind of has like a long, sort of almost pointy beard.
Yeah.
It's like parts of it are like really cool and clean, and parts of it are kind of a little out of control. He almost kind of looks like a garden gnome. And anyway, so I'm going to go with that. I thought it was really terrific. I thought the Lucifer stuff is essential and just
100%. The Lucifer
really
stuff was great.
Yeah, and really iconic. And then parts of it, I'm just like, huh? Because we don't know where we're going from here.
All right, well.
There you have it. We have a real treat for you. There's just one other time in the history of this podcast that we had this guest. And
in the entire history of the podcast?
In the entire history of the podcast.
Wow.
And probably a year ago or whatever we started season 4. But this gentleman is a fan favorite. He played Castiel for the entirety of the show, and he's a good friend, and he's a wonderful person. It's Misha Collins. So we're talking about season 5, and Kripke has said that he never wanted to have angels in the series because they would just swoop in and save the day. But what does Castiel do in the pivotal scene in this episode? You save the day. I don't know if you remember, if you watched this episode, but you come in and
effortlessly save the day.
You save the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see why you guys wanted to interview me right after this episode, because I had that minute of screen time in it.
Yeah, I'll tell you something.
You're
I watched
barely
this
in it.
episode, and Rob and I watched the episode, and you were on for such a nanosecond. I did have the thought of like, well, who said no before we had to go to Misha? I mean, like, I feel like there had to be a lot of people with big roles in this episode.
Demon number 6 was unavailable. He had more screen time.
You're the 5th one down on the list. No, and I actually do a scene with your teeth in my hair in this episode. Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you a question that Rob and I sort of pondered during the conversation about the episode. In other episodes with other characters, like people who are possessed by demons, if their bodies get mutilated, then that demon has to move to another body. How come you can explode and then Jimmy Novak is just reassembled as Jimmy Novak? How come Castiel didn't have to take over a different
I'll tell you what the first AD would always say on Supernatural. Rich, don't pull the thread.
I knew. Damn it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Exactly.
What a non-answer.
Well, obviously the answer is because he's a series regular.
I was on contract, so they couldn't afford to hire someone else at that point. They already paid me for the year.
That's smart. Genius. They're already pregnant with the Misha Collins baby.
Now, what was that whole thing like? We talked that briefly last time I think we talked to you, but you were a guest star for season 4, and then season 5 is when you were like, hey, would you ever make me a series regular? And Kripke went for it, right?
Dude, that story's crazy. So tell me that story again. Tell us that story again.
I didn't like dealing with the anxiety of not knowing whether they were going to kill me off in the next little arc. Something that Rob, you, I'm sure, struggled with for more than a decade on this show.
Exactly.
Is this going to be the end for me?
For 12 years.
I also thought, like, maybe I should have a little moxie here, because I did quite a few episodes in season 4, and it was pretty clear that they were making the character sort of more and more central, and had some plans for it. And I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna ask. Actually, I talked to Suzanne Gomez, who was the publicist at the CW, and she was like, I think you should just call Eric and ask him. And I was like, really? You could do that? You can just call the showrunner and say, how would you feel about making me a series regular? But I did that. And he was like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And then they did. And it was...
That's crazy.
I mean, I played a little bit of a... I was like, listen, I'm very much in demand right now. And it's pilot season. And I'd hate to, not be available for your stuff because, there's all these pilot operations that are kind of knocking my door down. And they weren't knocking my door down per se. I was desperately trying to get an audition for one, which is similar. But I parlayed
very, very close.
My desperation into a series regular role.
That's amazing.
So for anybody listening who wants to get into the industry or interested in the behind the scenes, how it happens kind of stuff. This is what we call a giant shit sandwich of an event, because I can't believe you duped. So we asked Eric about this when we interviewed Eric, and he tells the story very similarly. He's like, yeah, Misha came to me and was very gracious and said he was concerned about other jobs getting in the way of this job, and that he would prefer to focus his energies on Supernatural. And I found that to be a very stand-up actor thing to do. And I'm like, brother, you can't smell desperation. I'm worried about your olfactory senses, because that is a move. Are you out of your GD mind, Kripke? Like, are you, he was doing you a solid? Christ,
I will say that I had a second.
Well, in that case, I
run at that though, because Sarah Gamble had written me off the show in the beginning of season 7. She had very in tune olfactory systems. She could smell the shit sandwich in the dailies when they were coming from set in form of my performance. And she was like, we don't need to deal with this garbage anymore. Just because Eric was tricked doesn't mean I have to be. I'm going to write him off the show. So at the beginning of season 7, I was out. And then at the end of midway through season 7, the president of the network was like, hey, you're not really going to permanently be getting rid of that Castiel character, are you? Finger on the pulse of the fandom, I think, at that point. And so then they came back to me and said, hey, would you be interested? And at that point, I was testing for another pilot and was actually about to go in. Like, I had the contract in my hand and was about to go in to the room to do the audition at Sony Studios for this other pilot. And I had Bob Singer on the line, and I was like, listen, right now, if I sign this and then they like me, I'm not available for Supernatural. And I think I'd rather come back to Supernatural. So if you can make that happen, you can tell me on the phone right now that you can figure out how to make that work. I won't sign this, and I'll leave this audition right now. So at that point, I wasn't blowing smoke. It was just like a strong negotiating point to be coming from.
That's a strong negotiating point.
Right.
Yeah. And then they negotiated a contract with me and brought me back for about 60% of what they had been paying me on my last contract.
Nice. Well, I mean, I'm telling you, man, if anybody currently working with Eric Kripke is listening to this and wondering if they should lobby for a solidified role in the show, I say go for it. He seems to be the kind of fella that will take that kind of bait. But I got to tell you that I feel like the lion's share of people who go to a showrunner and say, I really feel like I need to get bumped up to series regular. I feel like I'm essential and you're not recognizing that contractually. And I think you need to really allow me to focus more on this character. The next sentence out of their mouth would be, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. I mean, I think you would be over instantly. It's baffling that works. It is baffling.
That you spit out all the time.
I know. really has a flavor to the show. I don't know if we always want that flavor, but
split you. That's new.
Yeah, good Lord split you. Yeah, it really. The barbecues our podcast.
They pair Rob and me together because Rob is a home run with the sort of effete artsy crowd.
I'm college educated,
and I'm the flyover state guy. Rob's good with sort of the highbrow theater snobs, and I'm the flyover state guy. You know, I'm the people. I'm the host for the people.
Just hold that thought. We're coming right back. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. What's the first thing you do if you had an extra hour in your day? What would you do? Would you go for a run, take a nap, read a book, watch Supernatural? Maybe all the above. Or maybe it's that thought that brings in a sense of panic. I mean, the question is, what time for what? If time is unlimited, how do we use it? Sometimes the hardest time for people who work every day is the weekends, when people are faced with a choice of, I've got this free time, what do I do with it? If this rings true for you, maybe therapy can help you find what matters to you so you can do more of it. I've benefited from therapy for many years now, and I talk openly about it. I still go to therapy about once a week, and it's just such a nice time for me to have that free space to try to figure out who I am really and what I really want and what makes me happy. It's super important and often neglected, taking this time. If you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient and flexible and suited to your schedule. So all you do is you fill out this brief questionnaire, you get matched with a licensed therapist, and then, get this, you can switch therapists at any time. for no additional charge, because they want you to be happy. That's what this is about. So learn to make time for what makes you happy with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/SPNTAN today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/SPNTAN. Hey guys, it's Rob. So check this out. I'm very pleased to announce that we have a new super sponsor. That's right, Marvel Strike Force. So Marvel, the one and only Marvel, has a mobile game, and it's a comic book fan's dream. Marvel Strike Force it's a mobile squad RPG that allows you to battle with your favorite team of superheroes and supervillains in a fight to save the universe against threats like Doctor Doom and Apocalypse. So your goal is to power up your favorite characters, and you complete missions, and then you unlock fun stuff like gear and other resources, and then you beat other players in a PvP, player versus player mode, such as Alliance War or Real Time Arena. So as I record this, they're enjoying their 6-year anniversary. So you know what that means? Free stuff. Free stuff just for signing up via the unique link in the description. So the anniversary consists of weekly events and bonuses. And if you complete each event, you can receive special rewards and skins. So make sure you log in every day, each week. You take advantage of all the new characters that are being released specifically for this event. This will be Marvel Strike Force's most generous event to date, so don't miss out. We've received a unique promo code for every new user, so please follow our link in the description and use the promo code MAXPOOL. That's MAXPOOL. All right. Thanks once again to Marvel Strike Force for sponsoring this episode. Thanks for listening, everybody. And now back to the episode. Do you remember, Misha, if Kripke was vocal at all about this being his last season? Were you aware?
No. Mm-mm.
Not aware. I know I wasn't, but I didn't know it. I didn't know much.
I was aware that he had originally planned the arc of the show to run for 5 seasons, but it was not being talked about terribly publicly that he was on the way out, at least until quite close to the end of the season, or at least not with me.
Right. Huh. Yeah. It's interesting, and when you look back at it, especially season 4 and 5, like you could tell there's sort of an arc that he's like closing at the end of it, a storyline that he's closing. So season 4 saw Castiel start to sympathize with humans. In season 5, he really goes all in, has fallen from grace, and starts to become more human himself. You've contrasted Castiel's experience with the darker side of humanity with that of Bruno Ganz's character in Wings of Desire, where he played an angel who got to experience the joy of humanity. Is that true?
I don't know, man. I mean,
I don't know either. I mean, it's really a statement, more than a question.
I mean, I do think it was an interesting lens into the world of humanity. It's observing specifically these 2 humans up close of Sam and Dean, these 2 fairly heroic, mythological, almost iconic characters, but from the perspective of someone who really does not understand humanity at all and is just learning about this new species for the first time. And I think that that perspective that Castiel took on getting to know those relationships was the most important single framing that I thought about as the character evolved. It's an interesting way to approach a relationship. And I thought it was fun to play with. It was that fish out of water. It was kind of having the joys and sorrows of experiencing some of those things for the first time, or not being able to experience certain things that the humans experienced. The ways in which he saw himself included and unable to be included. It was both like comic and tragic at the same time. I thought that the show, the writers over time really played the like fish out of water card a little, overplayed that, and it got a little bit foolish and campy at times. But that arc for Castiel, I thought, was the most interesting aspect of the character's journey. In those early years when he was like getting to know Sam and Dean and getting to experiment with, humanity and feeling.
And with feeling.
Right? And then, Yeah.
It seemed to be like, to Rob's point, I think it's like or maybe what you're saying, it felt like it was played less as a joke early on, and that made it work better.
Yeah, I think it became a little bit more formulaic later on, and also a little bit less convincing because, we were playing the fish out of water when it was like, all right, yeah, but actually at this point, he's been around for a really long time and he probably gets it,
Mm-hmm.
Did you, Rob? I was watching this. It was fun watching this episode because you guys were like, watch this episode. And I was like, wow, this has got to be a pretty seriously cast-centric episode. I can't remember quite which one it was. And then it was like, I'd been watching for about 45 minutes and I was like, is Castiel in this episode? But watching you, Rob, watching everybody is like so boyish. Everybody is so young, but you were like, you were just this little whippersnapper, wet behind the ears. Sides,
I know.
Now he's like bushy gray beards.
I know, man. I know. And just young, energetic, hopeful.
I kind of forgot how central and excellent your role was, but your portrayal was great. When did you find out that you were God?
At the end of this season 5. So
you had no idea at this point?
No, I thought it was just the prophet.
Do you think that Eric knew, or did...
We finally got a chance to ask Eric when we interviewed him, and he said it was sort of at the beginning of this season. He thinks they started saying in the writers' room, "I think Chuck's going to be God," and they're kind of making a joke because I was the embodiment of the writers' room, my character, and so they were like, "Are we really going to do that? Are we going to make the writer God?" They're kind of joking on themselves and so they kind of made the decision somewhere during this season. And then the final episode of this season is I narrate the episode and then I kind of go poof and disappear. And that was when it was for sure for Eric. But yeah, no, I was just a guy coming up to do a part and, it's super fun though. I have such great memories of coming up those early years and, it was fun. I didn't even realize when I started that you had just started a few episodes before me in season 4, right?
What was your first episode?
It was like season 4, episode 15. But you also started season 4, but you're episode 1. But
I was like 5 episodes in or something at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I remember asking you about advice. I remember you being on Twitter and that being a new thing and going, yeah, man, after the episode airs, you can actually look at what people say, what the reaction, So I remember then after this, my first episode aired in season 4, I went on Twitter. I was like, oh my God, are people going to like me? Are they going to like me?
It's great. Neurotic people be able to have that resource.
Yeah, exactly. And I was saying to Richard early in this podcast that I hit Jared with that plunger, which is a soft plunger. It wasn't a real plunger. It was a soft plunger, but I was supposed to hit stop before his face and he was going to react.
You actually made contact.
But I was like, yeah, I really made contact. But I remember I went up to him. I was like, hey man, sorry, I really got you that time. And he was like, it's okay. I didn't really feel much. You know what I mean? I'm puny compared to him. But yeah, no, it's funny. It's funny to me. Rich was saying, seeing the episode, he didn't realize I was even in it. I just kind of pop up. It happens a few times in this season where I just kind of pop up.
But I didn't see it coming, and we didn't really pregame about that one. So
there are a couple great episodes I'm looking forward to seeing.
Well, you guys sent an email like, we're gonna watch this. We're talking about this episode, but we'll also be just talking about the arc of season 5 in general. No fucking idea what happened in season 5. I do know. I have a visual in my head of what the last little bit is where we're, getting Lucifer down into the pit or whatever.
Well, dude, let me tell you something. If you think you know nothing about season 5, you are literally the blind leading the naked here because Rob and I don't have any freaking idea because we've seen one episode, 501, and you're barely in it. So we have a slew of questions to ask you that you can lie about because we don't know if you'll be telling the truth or not because we haven't seen it.
So how much of the show have you guys seen? You're watching it for the first time.
Yes. I've seen the episodes I was in. I've seen a couple of the episodes Richard's directed.
Very little. We're watching it in real time. So I watched 501 this morning.
I can see why they picked you for this job. That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, we know that they went to Misha first.
They went to Misha, who was hard pass.
I was like, I can't do it. I haven't watched the show. It would be a disservice to the fans. Yeah, that episode, it's called, look, I'm an encyclopedia here, so I'll just tell you. That episode is called The End. The End. And we're projecting forward into the future. And it's like, what year was this that we were filming? It was 2009, 2008, 2009
maybe?
for season 5, right? So I think the end took place in 2015. And I remember we were filming and it was like, this was the like distant future for that episode. And now it's coming and going. And it was actually kind of prescient. It was like there was a croatone virus, which is basically COVID. You know, COVID modeled itself after the croatone
it seemed a little
virus.
like copyright infringement-y to me.
Right.
Yeah. Both start with a C. And I remember Jensen played, you know, he was in a lot of scenes playing Dean with future Dean. And he had his stunt double doing the off-camera dialogue. And there was steam coming out of Jensen's ears. Like, he was just fried like I've never seen him before. You know, Jensen's like a machine, right? On set. Like, he'll just go and go and go. He was like, I can't. This is killing me. It's just impossible. And he had 8 pages of dialogue where he was both characters, in a day and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But my character in that episode is future Cass is like, he's lost his powers. They're living on this like bunker style commune, well fortified and well armed. And the only line I remember of dialogue is, all right, ladies, it's time to wash up for the orgy. And I had a nickel for every time I've said that, but
that was actually in the script. It's weird. That's why I say hoard toilet paper, which is also very prescient.
Right. You guys are Nostradamus. So
we are Nostradamus.
In season 5, according to this document in front of me, we start to see Castiel make jokes, being the target of jokes, and some of the fans' favorite Castiel moments. According to Samantha Hightail, at Entertainment Weekly,
Samantha.
5 out of 11 of Castiel's best moments are from season 5. And here are those 5 moments. Yeah. I'll just wait here then. I don't know what that means, but
I remember that.
It says right here, episode 504, the end.
That's what it says.
Huh, interesting.
I'll just ... wait here then.
Well, that's not future Cass. That's contemporary Cass. And he was talking on the phone with Dean on the side of the road at night. And Dean had to get some sleep and meet him in the morning. And so he just says, standing on the shoulder of this lonely country road, I'll just wait here then. And I think it epitomized Castiel's pathetic, desperate loneliness.
I'm laughing already. Okay, here's another one.
Okay.
I don't understand that reference. Episode 513, the song remains the same.
513.
And it's true. I don't understand this reference.
No? I don't understand that reference, but I do know that that's an iconic Castiel line, but I actually don't remember the context whatsoever.
Yeah, ditto.
Huh. I can't wait. Also, Drunk Castiel from 517.99 Problems.
I found a liquor store and I drank it.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay. Also, the big fight with Dean in Point of No Return.
Episode 518, that is.
No idea.
Nothing.
Well, here's one. Here's one that people say a lot because I hear it at conventions. It's Hey Ass Butt, which is episode 522, Swan Song.
Yep.
What's the walk me through what happens there? What is that?
So I am throwing. This is right before we're trying to get Lucifer thrown into the pit, and I am throwing a Molotov cocktail at Jake, and it's made of candy glass. So we actually have a Molotov cocktail prop from props, and this was a great fish out of water moment. Like, this is Castiel in a badass moment, and he hurls his like yippee-ki-yay motherfucker moment, right? And it's hey ass butt. Like, he can't come up with the right thing to say, but he then hurls this Molotov cocktail that I think is like filled with holy oil or something like that, or whatever it was. I don't know. But it's some like magical Molotov cocktail, and it's made from candy glass. And the thing with candy glass is, you guys probably know this, but it comes in different hardnesses, right? So you can have something that like breaks super easily, or it's like a little bit harder to break. And because this actually has liquid in it, and I have to throw it a distance, it's got to hold together well enough that when I'm throwing it, it doesn't break my hand, right?
Break midair.
So they made it a little bit strong. So I threw it and I hit him, and it hits him in the sternum and does not break.
Ow!
Which just causes then it's just like being hit with a bottle.
Oh my God.
And so the special effects guys like, Misha, you just need sorry everybody, sorry about that, Misha, you need to throw it harder because you didn't throw it harder. So then I throw it as hard as I can. It hits him in the sternum and it doesn't break again. And so then the special effects guy throws it himself as hard as he can. Doesn't break again. And it's just like, it's so painful to watch. And I can't remember how we finally resolved it. We finally got it to somehow break on camera.
And this is hitting Jake Abel? Is that what we're hitting?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
What a bummer.
Yeah. Oh, man. And that's how Jake has a permanent bruise.
Old nose sternum. Wow. That's a little behind the scenes trauma there.
That's
brutal.
Yeah. Yeah. Misha, did you ever go to the producers with an idea for an episode?
I did. I had one idea for an episode that was basically like talk radio. It was a little bit political, but it was basically like this sort of like right-wing AM talk radio host who actually is sort of infecting everyone's minds with some sort of trance spell, whatever, and basically like creating an army of zombies with their broadcasts. And they're doing it locally. It was like a local AM radio station. And it had created this like pocket of possessions or pocket of people who had been, put into a trance and are perpetrating these murders or whatever, that Sam and Dean go to investigate. And then they discover that this whatever demonic radio host is about to get syndicated nationally. And if that happens, then like all of North America is lost or something like that. And I pitched that, but they were like, yeah, we like it, but we're actually kind of doing something similar in season 7 because they were getting into some of like the media personalities and stuff like that. So which I think is just a nice way to say we don't like that idea.
Oh, yeah. So I didn't
cool idea the way you're pitching it now, though. I like it.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
I like it too. Season 16, we might have room for it.
Did you ask Eric about the reboot when he was on?
No.
Did we? We didn't. We should have.
No.
Maybe we'll do that. I'm sure it'll happen.
So,
I'm sure it'll happen.
I certainly don't have anything else going on.
Yeah.
When he first when there's any mention of it, I'm going to call him and say, "Listen, I want to be able to focus on this reboot. I don't want to be distracted by all the other calls I'm getting. You probably hear the I'm phone
walking into an audition with a contract in my hand.
I just make me a regular now. You know what I mean? Save yourself the effort. Apparently, before you filmed season 5, you also filmed a classic TV movie called The Stonehenge Apocalypse. How was that experience,
That's
and
amazing.
where can we watch it, and why would we bother?
Well, you would bother because it's actually a very important work of cinema, and to not watch it is to just have a certain level of illiteracy about the entire body of cinema work. It was a sci-fi show. It was a sci-fi movie. It was like they were doing these like, I don't know, Saturday night movies, and I ended up at the very end having to drop a nuke on Stonehenge in order to prevent Stonehenge from unleashing volcanoes that were going to engulf the world in lava.
Oh, so it's a science movie.
Yeah, it's very science-based. And I was Dr. Jacob Glazier, and he was a scientist, so I brought that to the role. And
does that mean you owned your own lab coat, or what do you mean by you brought that to the role?
Yeah, I mean, I just brought a very scientific sensibility to the role,
right?
Because of my background as an actor, and
yeah, sure,
yeah,
I was the star of this movie, and I treated it like this was probably going to be an Oscar contender in the way I approached the work. And we were like 2 weeks into the 3-week shoot. And the director was just chit-chatting. He was like, yeah, these shows, these Saturday night Sci-Fi Channel shows are usually watched as drinking games. And the only notes I've ever gotten, I've done like 10 of these for the Sci-Fi Channel, and the only notes I've ever gotten on my scripts was, you got to make it dumber. And I was like, oh, I thought I was doing a different movie somehow.
Right.
I thought this was like, I was really trying hard. And you can see that like green eager, trying hard attitude that I have, like taking it seriously, where all the other actors are kind of like winking and nodding at the audience, like, well, we know just like you that this is total garbage, but that kid doesn't. Isn't this funny? Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it's on some, I don't know, probably you can stream it somewhere or something, or not. Or it's like a fire sale at a library on VHS. One of the two. Yeah.
Let me ask you the question that Rob's too afraid to ask. Nudity? And if so, how much and with whom?
Yes, obviously, I will engage nudity and with anyone who will pay me.
Perfect. I think I meant for that movie specifically, but that certainly opens up the future to grand possibilities. Thank you.
I thought you were just talking about my own personal boundaries. I'll take it off right here if you want.
Oh, that really is. But talking about the bummer of this being a podcast, you know what I'm saying? If only there were video. Well, that's something for the fans to go find and watch. Then Stonehenge Apocalypse. We'll have you back on to talk about that for sure.
All right, I'm going to ask you one other related question to this episode, and then we'll let you go. Back in season 5, eventually I know you moved to Washington State when you were shooting, but back in season 5 when you went up and you were, at this point, you're series regular, did you move to Vancouver or were you still back and forth from LA?
For season 5, we moved to Vancouver. That was the year that my wife got pregnant with West. But we were still childless that year. And we rented this. There was this website that listed, it was called Sabbatical Homes. And you could only rent from it if you were somehow involved in higher education. And she was finishing up her PhD at that point. And there was a professor at UCSB who was going on sabbatical that year. And so we rented this like beautiful, kind of like 5-bedroom Victorian house for a song in Kitsilano. And it was totally awesome with like ocean views and really great. And I was like, living here is awesome. And then the next year that went away and it was like, oh, actually it's $6,000 for a 1-bedroom piece of shit on the highway.
Right.
Oh man.
It gave me a very skewed perspective on what the rental market there was like.
Right.
But the first year was actually really quite lovely.
That's awesome.
Oh man.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Amazing. Sounds great.
Guys, what do you think? Like this whole supernatural fandom seems like it's just still grinding away. We just did a convention in Burbank this past weekend. Yeah. And one of you two asked, I believe it was one of you asked for a show of hands about who was new.
A ton of them.
Yeah.
It was like, half the audience.
Yeah, it's about half the audience. I find that every convention I go to, it's about half the people are new.
And for posterity's sake, we're recording this in 2024, and the show has been off the air for years at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could find it on Netflix, but it's just surprising to me that there's still any kind of audience at those fan conventions, and that this particular fandom seems to be so vibrant and cohesive.
2020, right? It was the season finale.
2020. Yeah, but it's nuts, huh? None of us ever knew. We'd still be talking about it all these years later.
Crazy. And yet here we are.
I think Netflix helps a lot. I think during lockdown, a lot of people
found it
saw it for the first time.
A lot of people found it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go figure, man. Go figure.
Yeah.
And the era of like the 22 episode TV show, at least a new one, it's like kind of over. You know, like I also think it's kind of a dinosaur in that right. It's like it's the full 22, sometimes 23 episode seasons that show would do. That's just not going to be happening.
No.
It's a thing of the past.
Part of TV history.
Yeah. We're dinosaurs, you might say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Misha, thank you so much for joining us once again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We're going to have you again when we find an episode in which you're have even a smaller part.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks so much, Mish, man. Thanks for doing this, buddy.
Hey, this is Jeffrey Dean Morgan. We are going to take a quick break.
Hey everybody, Richard Spade here. Ever wonder why so many dogs are suffering from health issues? Well, actress Katherine Heigl wondered. She has helped save over 16,000 dogs through her foundation, and she says she's seeing more issues with dogs' joints, odors, and health than ever before. And after doing a ton of research, she feels there's one place we can look to improve any dog's health. Their food. Makes sense, right? What she discovered is that the way many dog foods are made can actually create toxins that could be wrecking our dog's health. And this is true even for many premium brands. Fortunately, she found that by just adding a few special superfoods to her dog's food, she saw huge transformations in their health. She has made a 20-minute video explaining step by step how anyone can do this same thing to see incredible changes in their dog's health. And you can watch this video. Now, this worked amazingly well for Luna, my dog. I'm noticing more energy, healthier skin and coat, and just looking and acting younger. For example, these days she insists on wearing a miniskirt and loves to listen to pop music. I think she might be turning into a Swiftie. But I digress. If you want to keep your dog healthy and happy, go to badlandsfood.com/SPNTan and watch Catherine's video right now. Again, that's badlandsfood.com/SPNTAN. I spelled it out for you. Now you have no excuse. Go watch the video. You'll be glad you did, and so will your dog or dogs. To quote Luna, ARF. And I'm pretty sure that says it all.
Hey, it's Jeffrey D. Morgan again. Welcome back to the podcast.
Well, that was great. It's great to talk to Misha, as always. What a great guy. And just, I know the fans will be happy to hear from him again.
Yeah. It was great to hear from him.
Looked like you had to think about it.
I was on the fence, but you know what? I'm going to go with it. It was great to hear from him again. No, it was awesome to have Misha. He's always intellectually stimulating and well thought when it comes to these kind of conversations. And this was no departure from that. He was lovely and delightful and entertaining.
I love that man.
And now it's time for, do you know, Rob? Are you ready? Are you prepared?
Is it mythology?
Mythology.
Michael's sword. The Archangel Michael is typically represented with a flaming sword.
Congratulations, Michael. Some believe the lore that Michael's sword was forged from divine light and bestowed to him by God himself, symbolizing his authority and righteousness in combating evil.
The sword is often depicted as a flaming weapon capable of vanquishing demons and protecting the faithful from spiritual harm. Saint Michael wielded it, leading God's army of angels to vanquish Lucifer and the fallen angels from heaven.
While the sword of Michael is not explicitly mentioned in canonical Christian scriptures, it appears in various apocryphal texts and Christian folklore.
Interestingly, if you weren't interested already,
there
are 7 different monasteries, each dedicated to Michael, that form a straight line from Ireland to Israel. This line is referred to as the Sword of St. Michael.
That's a trip.
I did not know that. I did not know that at all. And so that was very interesting.
That is interesting and factual and also kind of fun, which makes me wonder if it shouldn't have been under the title of our next segment called Fun Facts.
Get ready, because you may not have known this, but the title of the episode comes from a Rolling Stones song.
Ow!
Pleased to meet you. I hope you guessed my name. And Richard knows every line of that song.
I do. Big fan.
Yeah, it's a great song, great band.
This is the 3rd season premiere in a row to feature an AC/DC song, a band from Australia featuring the guitar work of Angus Young and his brother Malcolm Young. Thunderstruck was used in this particular premiere. Season 3 had Hell's Bells. Season 4 had You Shook Me All Night Long. All 3 songs accompany the recap of the previous season.
Wow. Amazing. I wonder what season 2 had.
Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. I don't know.
The host that Lucifer takes is named Nick. In some traditions, the devil is referred to as Old Nick.
Well, that certainly changes the landscape of Christmas. Down to the chimney comes old Saint Nick. Burn him!
Ah!
Stab him in the heart! And then run. Okay, Devil's Feud Cake is the name of the Yosemite Sam cartoon that is playing on the plane. That had to be expensive. Also, that really dated the plane, that it was one of those planes that played one movie in the middle of the plane.
Yes, yes. My God. But
sure,
why the
anybody
plane?
under 30 was like, why aren't they watching it on the back of their seat?
What's up with the plane?
I don't know. What's up with Yosemite Sam?
Maybe. The domain name morethanbrothers.net is owned by Warner Brothers.
Aw, that's sweet.
Oh, that's the other thing we didn't talk about is Becky, who
She's great.
plays a big part of my character's trajectory. And we love Emily is such a good actress. And so it's great. I forgot that she was introduced in this episode. So great. And again, all these things that find their way into a lot of the plot lines that my character was a part of, especially early on, were all just sort of like winks to the audience, because this is when the show was picking up steam, the conventions start to happen, and people start to write fan fiction, and that's what Eric is commenting on with all these things, and the Becky character really represents that.
Yep, she's great too, by the way. Such a good actress, so fun. And we'll get into that, I'm sure. Well, I mean, Rob, we're kind of leaving this whole thing, I don't know. We're both kind of like off balance, like, yeah, but nah. But
I mean,
yeah,
I think we're off balance because we're just tired. Because it's been a really long week, but I think that I'm excited. To me, this is the first episode of a really good season, an epic season, and I think you're laying the groundwork here.
You are laying the groundwork.
Again, I think that Pellegrino as Nick becoming Satan is chilling, and I think it's crucial. And I'm in. I'm down. I'm ready.
I'm in, and I'm down, and I'm also ready. Yeah, I'm all those things, bro.
Right. I don't believe you, but I will. I think you're going to come around. I think you're going to come around and go, you know what? I did like that episode.
I will, because of what you already said, which is Mark Pellegrino. He's such a gosh darn good actor, and he's so intense. Comes out, and the character, you're already like, you hate Lucifer, but you also want to see more of that character for sure. You're like, oh, okay, this is going to get interesting. Yeah. So it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to get into the rest of the season, starting with next week. It'll be episode
usually
2.
How that happens. All right. Well, thank you to everybody who was with us.
Yeah.
Go check out the Patreon page and follow us on the socials, and be here next week.
All right. We'll see you soon. This episode of Supernatural features Jared Padalecki as Sam Winchester, Jensen Ackles as Dean Winchester, and Misha Collins as Castiel.
The guest stars, which are really a cavalcade of A-level Supernatural family members, include Jim Beaver, Rob Benedict, Kurt Fuller, Mark Pellegrino, Bellamy Young, and Rachel Miner.
And Emily Perkins as Becky. No Sympathy for the Devil was written by Eric Kripke and directed by Bob Singer.
Editing by Anthony Pinker. Music by Christopher Leonards.
Executive produced by Eric Kripke and Robert Singer.
This episode originally aired on September 10, 2009.
This episode of Supernatural Then and Now was hosted and executive produced by Richard Spade Jr. and Rob Benedict.
Produced by Stephen Hine, written by Stephen Hine and Haida Holscher.
And edited and associate produced by Trey Booty. Music provided by Tim Wynn.
The episode was recorded with the help of Sonic Fuel Studios.
This podcast is from Story Mill Media.
Follow the podcast on Instagram and TikTok to make sure that China has all of your bank information at SPN Then and Now.
Become a member of the podcast at www.patreon.com/SPN Then and Now.
I do appreciate how backlit you've been this whole time.
Thank you, buddy.
This whole time, yeah. We don't even know.
What if I turn on the lights and reveal that it wasn't me? It's Jensen Ackles, and I don't appreciate being accused of being a cheater in Wordle.
Oh my
God. Question: when you said you're going to take a picture, use do-it-yourself picture of you and Jared, is that a selfie or a sulfie? Since you're at the sulfur pile, is that a sulfie? Get it?
Yeah, I gotta do this every week, Misha.
I'm so sorry.
Hashtag sulfie. You're welcome to use that in one of your nude scenes you're going to do.
Okay.
Thursday. Castiel arrives! Exclamation point. Back from the dead! Exclamation point. He kills the other angels, but a confused Zachariah escape.
Sorry, I'm getting an iced Americano handed to me by Brianna
From
Buckmaster.
Brianna Buckmaster.
There she is.
Great, everyone.
Thanks. You proud of us?
Real proud of you.
What are we saying? Oh.
All right, Misha Collins. Thank you so much.
Mid-salad.
Okay. Misha Collins, thank you so much for joining us.
He is mid-salad. He just took a big bite of salad.
People who are listening to the podcast don't know that. Oh, my God.
I know. That's why I have to describe it to him.
What is
you'd
that?
be a real bad play-by-play guy.
That's
he
a
just did
fish.
the thing you saw.
That's a fish. That's a full fish.
No, it's not. It's a pepper.
So sardine.
It's a green pepper.
It's a sardine.
Named Green Pepper.
All right, I'm starting over.
No,
Hey.
This is good. This is the kind of magic. Rob, you can't write this. We're not starting over.
It's a podcast.
You're not going to write it. You're not going to start over.
Rob, like it's a podcast. You can't talk about
It's a
looking at a
podcast.
fish. What is that thing that you're holding?
Yeah,
Is that
you
a
can't
fish or
talk
a
about
pepper?
those things, Rob. You're all script.
What is that?
First, you did a whole bit about dildos. Now you're talking about fish, Rob. I don't know what you're on, man. Clock in. We're trying to make a podcast. And I want a quick side note to Steve Hine. Get bent for writing that sentence, which was just a landmine of words that I was sure to mispronounce. And I think I did pretty well. I still stumbled over one of them, but I'm on to you, Hine.
Story Mill Media.